Hey, this is Fernando coming to you from beautiful Geelong in Australia, and I wanted to hop on here and share with you two things that you might be believing or thinking about right now that could be costing you success in your network marketing business or as far as achieving your business goals as well. Now, these are two myths, I believe. You might have heard the expression, near enough is good enough. Near enough is good enough. Have you ever heard that expression? And the other one is never assume, because when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me, right? How many times do we hear that growing up or even as adults at work in different situations? But these are myths, and I'll tell you why. And I'll tell you why you may be doing this unconsciously, not realizing just because it's a habit pattern in terms of how you speak, in terms of the phrases that have been programmed, and we just say them over and over without conscious thought. But of course, everything that's uttered can create an outcome, because remember, words are just ideas dressed up for our benefit. And every idea triggers a thought, triggers a feeling, and whatever you allow yourself to feel creates future circumstances, conditions, and results, right? So how do you know? Well, first of all, near enough is not good enough, and it shouldn't be good enough, right? But how do you know? You might say, yeah, I agree with that, Fernando. Near enough is not good enough. But just recently, I was watching, I was on the Eric Worre page. I follow some of the stuff that he shares, and he asked a question about, complete the sentence. This is what I'm going to do, and most people were saying things like, by this time next year, I will have achieved my, business success. I will have ranked advanced. I will have, X amount of people in my business. By this time next year, I will be doing this. I will be impacting lives. I will be. The only problem with I will be is that I will be is not is. I will be is not is. And so I will be may take you near enough, but it's not enough. It's not the goal fulfilled. And so the real secret to success when it comes to manifesting goals, and this is really key, is understanding that we have to start to think from our goal, not of our goal. So not think of what I will do, but think from what I have done. So your there has to become your now, right? Or your here. Sorry, your there has to become your here, and your then has to become your now. So when your there becomes your here and your then becomes your now, you are now operating from the manifested goal in imagination. Imagination being your creative power that connects you to infinite supply. And so whenever you're going to share your goal or think about your goal, you don't want to actually think of your goal, like I've just said. You got to think from your goal. But of course, the first step is knowing what is your goal. What is it that you actually want? You need to know what you want. If you don't know what you want, then nothing else really matters, right? So number one, you have to decide what it is that you want. And it has to be that what we call worthy ideal, that idea that you fall in love with, that idea that you're willing to trade your time for, that idea that you're prepared to let go of some things for, because it means that much to you, right, in terms of manifesting. And so manifesting just means really experiencing the outcome or experiencing the result of what it is that you desire. So the first thing is understanding that every time you say, I will, and I'll give you an example. When people write their goals down, they say, I'm so happy now that I'm going to be earning so much money 12 months from now. Well, that just sabotaged everything, because the more you say that, the more you're pushing it away. You might come this close to your goal, but it'll never be the goal. So we have to state the goal in the present. I'm so happy and grateful now that I am. And then you declare what you're doing as if it's already done, right? Because you got to do that. And then the second myth here we're talking about is assumption. Never assume, because when you assume, you've heard the expression, you make an ASS out of you and me, right? But in Neville Goddard, who I follow, who I read a lot about, and some of you may know Neville and follow him. I know Bob Proctor studied him for some years as well. Many of the leaders and thought leaders actually have studied Neville, who has a very interesting perspective on imagination and creation and God and who we are, right? But he talks about the law of assumption. So law of assumption means not assuming as in just assuming like we hear it in everyday life. Assuming means actually taking the form of seeing yourself in that place. So assuming your goal fulfilled means that you are in imagination, allowing yourself to relate to the world around you from the place of your goal being manifested, or you experiencing the result of the goal that you're trying to achieve. So you actually want to make sure that you are assuming the state of what you're trying to manifest. And the way to do that is in imagination. By allowing yourself to go in, close your eyes, typically before sleep, or you can do it in short bursts throughout the day, just quieting yourself down. And then once you know what you want, remember the key here is you have to know what you want. And sadly, most people think they know what they want, but they don't. And you have to believe. Believe is the key. If you don't believe, like you might say, well, I want to earn $3 million by next year, but you've never earned more than 100,000. Then even though everything's possible, we have unlimited supply, you may be not dealing with yourself fairly because you don't have yet the belief system that allows you to believe that you can manifest that. Therefore, you'll be sabotaging all the way. But if it's something that you believe, if you believe that you can do 3 million, you may not know how, but there's a part of you that says, I know that with the right mentorship, right structures, right processes, right strategies, I can be there and I deserve it, then that's a whole different story, right? But you definitely need to know what you want. And then you have to allow yourself to go inward, and you have to assume the state of who you are. How are people relating to you? What are you experiencing from the place of your goal manifested, whatever that goal is? And the more you allow yourself to see that and feel it to the point where there's a now like a, what's the word? I don't know if you say blurriness, or it's not a distinct line between reality and fantasy where you're like, I'm not sure which is which now because I'm so engrossed in my vision of my goal manifested. Now you're really taking intention and putting all the attention where it belongs, which is in the goal manifested, in the goal experience, in the goal actually revealed in your physical world. And so this is why you'll often hear me say when I write goals and when I recommend that you write goals, and it's something that I borrowed from Neville, I did it, I am doing it, and I will continue to do it until all that I have done is perfectly externalized within my world. And so it's, I did it, I am doing it, and I will continue to do it. Now you're doing it in your imagination right now until it manifests in physical form. And it must manifest in physical form because we live in an orderly universe governed by real laws, laws that operate all the time, every time, without fail. And when we understand these laws and we tap into them and we begin to work with them, then we're in harmony, right? And now our vibration's right because now we can elevate ourselves to the frequency of the goal that we want to achieve. And that's exactly what imagination does. When you go inward and you start to live from your goal, not thinking of your goal, but living from your goal, assuming that state, you're actually now connecting at the frequency of the goal, which means at some point it's just got to manifest in physical form, right? So the experiment is for you to go and try it. You can start with something small. You can start with something a bit bigger. And the other thing is making sure that you are making committed decisions, not allowing current circumstances to impact that. So, you may be looking at investing in mentorship. You may be looking at learning from somebody or buying a course, or you might be looking at going to an event for your company or something like that. You don't want to actually allow your current circumstances to dictate the decision, because what happens is once you make the committed decision, it's at that point that everything aligns to reveal and manifest to you the resources necessary for the fulfillment of that goal, because you've transcended the frequency levels that connect you to your goal. So I hope that makes a difference for you today. I hope it serves you. If you have any questions about this stuff, reach out, drop me a comment. I'll be more than happy to respond. Share with me what your goals are. I'd love to know what your goals are, what it is you're trying to achieve. And if you're stuck, let me know where you're stuck. I'm more than happy to look at getting on a call with you and helping you get clarity. Look at what you really want to achieve, where you're stuck, and how to move forward. So I hope that makes a difference for you today. All right, so we've got Forrest. Thanks for watching. Hey, Sandra, my wife is watching. Hey, good to have you here. Torash, and a couple more people there. So if you're watching the replay, drop me a hashtag replay. Let me know that you've seen the video. Drop your comments, and I'll see you on the next video. Take care and bye for now.